welcome to the Culture Cast. I'm Chris Stashio, and I am joined by a legend of the podcasting industry, the man, the myth, the legend, the projection booth's own, Mr. Mike White.
I just want everybody to know that I requested this movie.
So, you know what? I was going to say that one way or another, because we are continuing Patricia Arquette August. Maybe just Arquette August. Maybe next year we'll do David Arquette. Maybe the year after we'll do Rosanna Arquette. Can't know. But for right now, it's Patricia Arquette August, with a film that Mike, like he mentioned, asked to watch specifically over my original pick, which was what, Mike?
Little fucking Nicky.
Okay, we watched Holy Matrimony instead, and yeah, it's a movie that exists.
Though not too many people know that it exists.
Unfortunately, right? I've actually had this conversation now several times in the last 48 hours about this movie.
From Hollywood Pictures, Havana's late husband left a fortune in cash.
Where did you hide it?
But there's one small catch.
I'm only 12 years old.
Tradition says she has to marry his kid brother.
You guys have been out in the sun for too long.
Now, if she wants the money,
Yeah, I do.
she'll have to earn it.
You have to mow the lawn and feed the flower bed. I'm your husband!
Patricia Arquette,
It's not happening!
Holy Matrimony.
Don't think our marriage is working.
Rated PG-13.
The film is directed by Leonard Nimoy. It is written by David Weisberg and Douglas Cook. It stars Patricia Arquette and Joseph Gordon-Levitt in his first film role ever, where he plays a young Hutterite boy who marries his late brother's wife. It is a child marrying an adult film, and it is played 100% straight. It is a child marrying an adult fish out of water story, and you know what? I'm curious what you thought first, Mike, because you picked to watch this over Little Nicky, which also had Patricia Arquette in it, so...
I appreciated this movie more than Little Nicky.
But you haven't even seen Little Nicky.
I have seen Little Nicky.
I thought you hadn't seen Little Nicky. Okay.
No, I refuse to watch it a second time.
You use the word appreciate, though.
Well...
Thank God you didn't say I liked it, because...
We used to make fun of this trailer when I worked at a movie theater all the time, and that's why I remember this movie, because it just looked so terrible, and every time they would have the name on screen, we would go, Holy Matrimony! It was kind of like I Love Trouble, that we would always say, I love trouble, but yeah, Holy Matrimony. Which until I watched this movie and I started doing some research on the Wikipedia, I had no idea that Hutterites were a thing. I thought that they were kind of just saying, like, rather than Mennonites, we're just going to make up a sect and go with that.
No, Hutterites are a thing. When we went, whatever that last weekend holiday, I believe Memorial Day, is that the one that's in May?
Yes.
We actually went to Chicago. We drove from here to Chicago, here being where I live, in Lincoln, Nebraska. And there is a Hutterite community in between here and Des Moines. So
wow.
It's a real thing. This is not like made up, fake, fake news, the fake people. No, these are a real community of people. I don't know if there are any in Canada, but there definitely are some in the United States.
There's a large population in Canada, and from what I understand, it's like 75% Canada, 25% United States.
Okay, sure. So is maybe we know more the Mennonites and the Amish and all those folks as opposed to the Hutterites. I'll tell you what. So Weisberg and Cook, the writers for the film, they've essentially worked together on all their film credits.
They're a writing team.
They're a writing team. Criminal, which just came out a couple years ago. That's that Kevin Costner, Ryan Reynolds movie. And I say Ryan Reynolds in quotations because he's not really in it. Double Jeopardy, that Tommy Lee Jones, Ashley Judd movie. They wrote the screenplay for The Rock. Yeah, the Nicolas Cage movie. And then you have this, which was their first film credit between the two of them as a team. And it's almost like this movie doesn't know what it wants to be, if it wants to be a serious film or it wants to be a comedy, because it's not funny at all. It's not a comedic film. I didn't find it funny at all. I don't know if you did, but I didn't laugh once.
No.
Rack your brain real hard.
I was really trying to figure it out. I mean,
it seems in between tones, right?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. I mean, just Patricia Arquette, her character of Havana, she doesn't seem to be one person, because she starts off, it feels like she's very sincere.
Right.
And she wants to get out of the carnival life where she is imitating Marilyn Monroe.
And she's the main character of the film. She is the main character of the film.
Yeah. And then she turns on a dime and suddenly becomes a criminal.
Which I thought was weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the first 5 minutes of the damn movie.
And she's working with Tate Donovan, who is not long for this movie. And then when they go on the lam, because they find out that somehow, apparently they figured out that they were stealing the money. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But how?
I have no idea.
Right. It's very weird to me. Again, if that's the one nitpick of this movie, but it's not. Like, it's a nitpick in a long line of really bizarre things that happen in this movie.
I was glad to see Richard Reel as Greason, the carnival owner. Most people know him better as having people skills in Office Space.
I was going to say, you know what? You might say that they jumped to conclusions on who stole the money. It's a jump to conclusions, Matt. That's all I can think of when I think of Richard Reel, is just jump to conclusions. Office Space.
And yeah, so they go on the lam, and then she just becomes this incredible shrew. Once they get up to this Hutterite community, she just becomes Kate from Taming of the Shrew. It's just like, what is your problem, lady? You are on the lam. You need to calm down and just go with it for a little while. But instead, she's just like wearing like these hoochie shorts and doesn't realize that people are of a different culture and that she needs to like cover up a little bit if she wants to fit in and not be, suddenly she's like this brassy, gum chewing gal, and I'm just like, what is going on? Where did this person come from?
Yeah, it's weird because, again, you would expect the film to go one way and to have one tone, and especially from the trailer too. And mind you, I couldn't find the actual trailer. I found the TV trailer, which is like the 30-second spot as opposed to the 2-minute spot. And it's played as a comedy in the trailer, and then it's like, it's just not funny because her character is so grating and awful and mean and just so like self-centered and selfish. And look, I get that that's what they were going for, but it is bad.
And then her boyfriend, the Tate Donovan character, he dies in such a horrific way.
Well, a horrifically bizarre way.
Right?
He's
like,
in the car with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's telling Joseph Gordon-Levitt that he has to leave, and then I couldn't tell, does Joseph Gordon-Levitt grab the wheel?
Yeah, he's like so upset. Yo, you just came back and now you're leaving me again and da-da-da-da-da. And then, yeah, next thing you know, the car's flipping over. And I'm like, how did Joseph Gordon-Levitt even walk away from that accident?
I don't know, considering how Tate Donovan died.
Right.
And he's dead. Like, he's not faking his death or anything. Like, he is dead. Dead for the rest of the film. And look, there's a lot of really fun character actors in this film. Armin Mueller-Stahl, who, if you're a fan of The X-Files, he's from The X-Files movie. I believe he may have been in the season at one point or another as Strughold. You've got, Courtney B. Vance, who's in this, long before he's Courtney B. Vance of now. Mary Pat Gleason, who's always, it's always nice to see her as well. And it's just like, what is even fucking going on in this movie? Like, the hard times that you guys were on, or you needed to, build another addition to your house, because I can't imagine having this script come across my desk and being like, yeah, this is something I want to get involved with.
The one guy you didn't mention, John Schuck. I absolutely love John Schuck. He is, well, he's always great in pretty much everything. And then I could tell that Leonard Nimoy must really like working with him, because Nimoy had him in not Search for Spock, The Voyage Home. He was also in Star Trek VI, playing, I think, the same character, and then he shows up in this one. So it's like, oh, they must have really gotten along. And Schuck can be hilarious. A lot of people will remember him as the Pole in MASH, and he's been in so many things. He was a great third wheel in Mrs. Miller, Macmillan and Wife. And he's got great comic timing, but he is not asked to be funny at all in this. He is just like menacing jerk through most of it. And I was like, oh, come on. You know, be a jerk, but be funny at least.
Well, and then he points a gun at a child. Like,
right.
All of a sudden, there's like this FBI agent is like, I know what the deal is. Like, he's going to murder Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like, what is happening right now? It is so weird. It's like, let me put it this way. When you look at this film, and this film is about a grown-ass woman marrying a child. Joseph Gordon-Levitt at this time would have been like 10 or 12, maybe. This is 94.
And he was born in 81, so he was 13.
Okay, yeah. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt is 13 at the time. A grown-ass woman is marrying him. And that is the least weird thing about this film.
Yeah, by the end of the movie, you accept it as just like, oh, okay, yeah, they're married.
And at the end of the film, Patricia Arquette essentially says, when I come back and see you in 10 years, I'm going to suck your dick. And it's like, you do know that is still a child.
Yeah.
And also, why are you waiting 10 years? You could come back in 5 years. Are you also not still married to him? I didn't understand a lot of what was going on at the end because she's still married to him. They never got divorced. So you are married to a child still. Can we get a sequel to this in 2019? That's essentially what I would actually love to see the version of this film in 2019 because it could not be made. You could, right? You can't make this film now.
Well, I'm hoping for a sequel so that it's like Boyhood, because now we see J.G. Outlaw grown up, we see Patricia Arquette grown up, and then she comes back. Havana returns. That's what I want to see.
Holy Matrimony to Electric Boogaloo.
Now he's had his Rumspringa all those years ago, and now he's much more worldly and stuff. And
I mean, let's just be honest. Don't we just want to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt try to put on that terrible fake accent again?
Oh my God, what is going on with that accent?
So we were talking about this before the podcast. So Hutterites are similar to Amish, and the Amish and the
Mennonites.
The Mennonites, yeah. But they're a German version of that. So it's like a weird German Swiss, because the Hutterites came out of the Radical Reformation in the 16th century. So they're Anabaptists. They're like Amish and Mennonites. So it's like, what are you going for? They speak Hutterite German, but what the accent that they're doing in the film, because look, Armin Mueller-Stahl is a German actor. He is born in Eastern Prussia, which is Germany. And he's not doing an accent that he doesn't already have. But then you have Tate Donovan, who can't decide if at the beginning of the film he wants to do an accent, because he totally doesn't. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is throwing on the most bizarre accent you'll ever hear a child do. And it's so distracting throughout the entire film that I just wonder, Leonard Nimoy, what were you doing? And again, that's another crazy thing about this, is Leonard Nimoy directed this goddamn movie.
And he was pretty consistently a good director.
Right, I mean, he directed Search for Spock, he directed The Voyage Home, which are two of the better, not Wrath of Khan, TOS films. 3 Men and a Baby, for all its problems, and a Dead Child urban legend is great. The Body Wars short at Disneyland or Disney World, if you've ever seen it, was actually a lot of fun. And then you get to Holy Matrimony, and it's like, why? And this was his last film. He directed an episode of TV, and then this was it.
I don't know if this is true or not, because so much of the IMDb is 100% bullshit. But they were saying the movie got released, and he didn't even know it got released, and he was just like, oh yeah, I've got a new movie coming out, and whoever he was talking to was like, oh yeah, that already came out.
He didn't know that this movie had come out?
No.
Wow, boy. That is just, that in and of itself right there should tell you all you need to know about this movie. And then some.
Yeah. I mean, this movie kind of escaped.
Well, it's kind of like, what's the name of the Bob Hoskins, Denzel Washington film? Change of Heart?
Heart Condition.
Heart Condition. It's like that. Like, if you told someone that this movie existed, they wouldn't believe you. It would sound fake. Like, Heart Condition is Denzel Washington plays a black ghost who ends up haunting Bob Hoskins, who's a racist cop.
Right. It's like...
That sounds fake. Like, that sounds like something out of Rick and Morty. Like, their, TV episode show that they do.
Well, there's that movie Change of Mind where they put the white guy's brain into the black guy's body.
Or what's the other one? The one with Dan Aykroyd where it's like he's like in a leather community with Rosie O'Donnell?
Oh, yeah, you're talking... why am I blanking on...
East of Eden.
Exit to Eden.
Exit to Eden. Exit to Eden. And it's like, these movies, like, no, people in 2019 can't comprehend that this shit existed, or Cool as Ice. Vanilla Ice vehicle that was a glorified Vanilla Ice music video turned into a film. Like, these things are so incomprehensible in 2019. And this film, too. Patricia Arquette marries Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which, look, in 2019, he's obviously a very big star. 1994, he wasn't. So, all intents and purposes, this could have been he could have been like a nobody child actor and never gone and done anything.
Right. I mean, he had been in Dark Shadows, but otherwise it was just little parts until a couple years later when he was in... God, when was Third Rock from the Sun? Was that 96?
Third Rock from the Sun was 96, yeah.
Okay.
So,
and that put him on the map.
2 years post this.
Right.
And for all the things I've seen of Third Rock from the Sun, I've never gone and watched the entire show. That show was pretty good.
I mean, we already have a blueprint for something like this as far as hiding out. Well, we've got John Cryer in the movie Hiding Out, where he goes and he hides out at a high school even though he's older, and then, yada, yada, yada. But then you've got Witness.
That's what I thought of. I thought that this was Witness, but like a comedy version.
Right.
And it kind of is, like, in a way.
Kind of. If Harrison Ford had married the little boy, I think that would have been it.
Wow, that's awful. If anyone is listening in, we are not affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean, that's if NAMBLA had made the movie, right?
Sure. Awful still.
Lucas Haas gets married to Harrison Ford. And the rest is
I
history.
do not support any of this. You know what this reminds me of? Remember the movie For Richer or Poorer?
No, what was that one?
That was Tim Allen and Kirstie Alley hiding from the IRS among the Amish.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, like, that's what this reminds me of, but that movie, I remember seeing in theaters as a kid, that movie was actually funny.
Wow.
Like, look, it's got Tim Allen in it, so, I mean, you gotta have some laughs with Tim Allen. This movie, there's no laughs. I did not laugh once. It is not a comedy. It is a bizarre, tonally confused, not totally, tonally confused film.
Can I tell you, or tell the audience, the scene that exemplifies how messed up this movie is? Which is, so Tate Donovan has hidden the money that they stole someplace, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt somehow finds it. And so he's keeping it from Patricia Arquette, and then she's being a very bad wife. Like, she's not fulfilling her wifely duties in any way. And one of the things is he wants her to weed the garden. So he says, oh yeah, I found this $500 bill or $100 bill in this garden. And then she goes out and she doesn't weed the garden. She just starts pulling everything up and throwing it everywhere. And I was like,
digging around in the mud.
Yeah, she's got mud all over that butt. Oh, it's fantastic.
It's really upsetting is what it is.
But yeah, it looks like shit stain. But it's just like, what the fuck, man? Why? Now she's not weeding the garden. She's tearing everything apart and not doing anything that you want. I'm like, do something. Use your power of having the money over her to have her actually do something and fulfill, like, what you imagine a wife should be. Wow. But instead he's just making a fool of her.
That's awful, though, in so many ways.
It is, but it's also the American way.
Right, like, how are you going to earn the money?
Right.
Sucking a 13-year-old's dick? Like, no. But,
Henry, I really have to go shopping today.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past this movie, And look, so here's the crazy thing, right?
Well, they've got that wedding night scene. What the fuck, man? God. That was the one time I laughed.
When he was bouncing on the bed?
When he's bouncing on the bed and the way that she just walks up from off screen, it's like, what's going on? Yeah, that's the one time.
So here's something crazy, right? So this film should theoretically be lost to time. It is 2019. This film came out in 1994. It came out 25 years ago. Okay.
I hear it's 1001 Criterion.
Yeah, right. Here's the crazy thing. There isn't, so on IMDb they have like a related news part on the site, and it's off to the side. This film, James Corden talked about this film with Patricia Arquette 2 weeks ago.
Holy shit.
Because she was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's first kiss on this film. Like, ever. Like, why are we talking about this fucking movie? Like, this movie is really not going to be something that we should be talking about in 2019 in, like, a setting other than, like, what we're doing here, which is just, like, kind of reminiscing about how fucking weird this movie is. And this is, like, a B or a C side of Patricia Arquette's career. Like, everybody has one of these weird movies on their IMDb, like, list, and this is her, like, one of them. Like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, she brings it up on James Corden. Like, first off, fuck James Corden anyways, but, like, this came up, like, 2 weeks ago. August 1st, 2019.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to get those residuals in 2019 from your weird movie you were in that was directed by Leonard Nimoy, of all people.
Weird movie. And what is up with her hair when she puts that babushka on? I mean, I don't know what's going on under the babushka.
Slicked back all the way.
It's so bizarre.
It's, again, there's a lot of things about this movie that I just don't understand. It's like a very conscious decision was made.
Yeah.
And there's like a conscious decision that's made that he's going to go return the money at one point, and then it becomes like a road movie.
Oh,
and then
God.
There's the whole thing at the movie theater. Or not the movie theater. There's a whole thing at the hotel. And that's really weird, too, because she's going to just go and fucking bang some guy. And it's just like, what is going on? It seems like...
You are my wife?
Yeah, like...
Why are you doing this? You are my wife?
It's like a really bad Tommy Wiseau.
What are you doing, Joseph?
Yeah, it is so weird. And, like, he walks in on her, and she's, like, about to bang someone. Like, why is any of this happening? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the Japanese poster for the movie is bizarre in and of its own right. And then when it was on my Plex server, it doesn't even have Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the poster for the movie.
Really? No, it's the one with her and the
two
bouquet of money.
Women. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it was sold. That's how this movie was sold. So I didn't even know JGL was in it until you started looking it up and going, oh my God, it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I was like, oh, okay. I just knew her. And
then at the end of the movie, they return the money and they get money in return for returning the money. Like, that
doesn't make any sense.
So I don't remember exactly how much they stole, but they get $25,000 for returning the money.
I mean, that's a really wealthy carnival.
Right.
Because I think they steal $500,000.
Okay, so okay, sure. So it's like a theoretical drop in the bucket, but still, when he said there's a $25,000 reward for returning the money, I was like, what?
Right, from the people that stole it. I mean, this is...
From the people that stole your money comes money back to you.
Right.
That's not how that works.
No.
Like, if you stole money from someone and there was a reward being offered and you went and gave it back to them and said, I stole the money, they would not give you money.
That's like Nathan Arizona giving High and Ed money for returning Nathan Jr.
Yeah, it's convoluted and dumb, just like this movie. Which, again, I would like to point out, you picked.
You are so welcome. And I still stand by that this is better than Little Nicky.
No, see, here's the problem with that statement. Little Nicky, you can laugh at how dumb it is. This movie, it's just so weird and awkward that what there is to this movie is just awkwardness for awkward's sake. It's like a movie that doesn't know what it wants to be. It is not a comedy. It is not a crime film. It is barely either, and it is definitely not both together. At least Little Nicky is just like a stoner comedy about the devil's son and a guy with tits on his head. And it's essentially a glorified Popeye's chicken commercial. Really good. Like, okay, whatever.
I will listen to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's fucked up accent more than I will fucking Adam Sandler with that weird voice, man.
I don't like Adam Sandler. I really don't. I think he is a prick, and I think that he is taking advantage of Netflix, and good on them for giving him all that money, but I will go to bat for Little Nicky because it is just one of those movies that I just honestly like. Don't care if it's a terrible movie because it is a fucking terrible movie. It's a piece of shit. I know it's a piece of shit, but it's something that I like a lot. It's the best thing Quentin Tarantino's ever been in, and my wife and I, that was one of the first things we ever, bonded over.
Oh, so, I didn't know that. Yeah. I would have, if I had known that was like your first date movie.
I'm going to get shit all over it. You know what? Fuck you, Mike.
This meant so much to my wife and I.
No. I mean, Little Nicky, it's one of those.
That was the first time we ever kissed was after Little Nicky.
No, that was listening to a Projection Booth podcast.
Oh.
I was like, I gotta listen to Mike's voice.
Oh, it's what gets you going, isn't it?
It really is. You have no idea. 2 inches all ready to go right now. Just like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in Holy Matrimony. Which, again, I would like to emphasize, at one point in this film, Patricia Arquette essentially says she's going to come back and suck his dick. So, great. That is the final fucking line in this film, is I'm going to come back in 10 years, and he says, I'm going to find you in 10 years, and her response is, if you don't, I will. And it's just like, what? Is even happening here? This is a weird movie. This is a weird 90s film. That's like, it could only have been made in the 90s, right?
There were so many movies that were being made around this time where you're just like, really? That was a thing? Like, really? Flashback with Kiefer Sutherland and Dennis Hopper? That was a real movie? There are so many of those where you're just like, oh, that is... what is that? What is Kiefer Sutherland plays a very uptight FBI agent, and he has to get child of the 60s Dennis Hopper someplace. It's kind of like Midnight Run if Charles Grodin was a hippie.
Never seen Midnight Run.
Oh, wow. So. Well, there you go. I would highly recommend that.
Nothing But Trouble. Does that count? Have you ever seen Nothing But Trouble?
No.
Boy.
I think I avoided that.
Boy. We're getting you to watch that somehow. You want to talk about a movie that there's no way it could have existed in any other decade than the 90s? That film. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, and Demi Moore. And Dan Aykroyd plays is it John Candy that plays 2 characters? Something like that. Tupac
Dan
is in
Aykroyd definitely plays
judge. And he also directed
the judge.
So, what would you give Holy Matrimony out of 5?
2.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1.5 because everything pointed to it being a weird, fun movie, and it ended up just being a weird movie. And that was, look, my expectation was with a trailer like that, with a cast like that, with the directors and the writers, it's just gonna be weird. And it seems like a lot of this stems from Weisberg and Cook not really knowing how to write comedy.
Yeah, it's not weird enough.
Their credits, like I read at the beginning, are 4 crime films and then a child marrying an adult comedy. What? I'm not saying you should be pigeonholed into what you can and can't write, but they can't
stick
write
with what
comedy.
you know, guys.
Yeah, so write another film that's like Criminal that everyone honestly forgot existed. So, on that note, we'll take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Culture Cast.
From the director of Top Gun and Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Hello, baby! Clarence? I'm a married man, buddy.
A con man.
Ask him if he got the letter.
Did you get the letter?
What letter?
He wants to talk to you.
No time. Tell him we gotta go.
A call girl.
You call for a date?
Huh?
I'm Alabama.
She a 4-alarm fire or what? She seems very nice. What are you doing in L.A. anyway, huh?
And a suitcase full of trouble.
My name is Vincent Cocotti. I work as consul for Mr. Blue Boyle, the man your son stole from.
Now, all that stands between them and their wildest dreams.
Find out who this wing and a prayer artist is and take him off at the neck.
Are 60 cops. 40 agents.
He's a wild man, this kid Clarence. I like him.
30 mobsters.
I haven't killed anybody since 1984.
And a few thousand bullets.
We're all gonna die here. These are cops!
Put him down! Put him down! Put him down!
Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken.
Slow it down, man.
In a Tony Scott film.
I think what you did was so romantic.
Not since Bonnie and Clyde have 2 people been so good at being bad. True romance.
That's right, on the next Culture Cast, we're going to be talking about another Patricia Arquette film that I have not seen ever, but I think it is finally time to break it out. It is a Quentin Tarantino written film, not directed. Thank God. We're going to be talking about True Romance, and I'm going to be joined by the man who loves True Romance more than most people I know, Mr. Father Malone. Until then, where can people find you, Mike? What is going on over at the Projection Booth Podcast?
So many things. We're just putting out an episode about Secret of Nim. I'm working on one about a series of Rapture films. That's a lot of fun. And yeah, just a lot of interesting things afoot at the projection booth. And then pretty soon it will be Czechtember, where I'll be talking about a whole lot of Czechoslovakian films.
I was about to say, when is it not an interesting time at the projection booth?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Okay. I'm asking you.
Every other week. Yeah, so you can find that over at projectionboothpodcast.com, and you can also hear me and you, Chris, over at the Kolchak Tapes, which is a podcast that we've been doing for, God, how many years now?
I think.
Wow, where we're talking about The Night Stalker, both the 1974-75 version and the 2005-2006 version. And maybe one of these days, the people that put out all of the Kolchak books and comic books, I believe they're called Moonstone Press, maybe they'll actually get back to me and I can talk about the books on that podcast.
It would, wouldn't
nice?
it?
Yeah.
That would be nice for people to actually care about us talking about Kolchak, because I don't know how many people are going to talk about Kolchak in the future. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe we'll live in a future where Kolchak is known by everyone.
Yeah, right. Oh, geez. Speaking of plugging podcasts, you can check out the Culture Cast at culturecast.com, on Twitter at culturecast. If you want to listen to me jabber some more, I do the one season show with my co-host Jess, where we talk about shows that have only lasted one season. That's once a month. I also do a podcast called Chronicles from the Crypt, where I talk about Tales from the Crypt. We just wrapped season 3. And I also do a podcast with you, Mike.
Dreams for Sale.
Dreams for Sale, where we talk about Twilight Zone 1985, or as Father Malone says, the only good reboot. You can follow me on Twitter at Casualty Chris. I've got some links over to Patreon where you can give us a couple dollars if that's a thing you're into. If not, I totally get it. Money's tight for everybody. Got to keep the lights on somehow. And big thanks as always to _91 for the music Thunderous, which we use as the intro-outro music for the Culture Cast, and we'll catch you on the next episode.